because one of the biggest mistakes, I still hear it today from young people, oh, I don't have to worry because I'm still
young.
Yeah, and that is death to most people, because eventually you get old and then you're not young again. So it's a way of saying, when I talk about assets and liabilities, one of the most important things you have in your life is time. It's one of your greatest assets, or it's your liability. And being, I just turned 70, and I have friends who have nothing. I mean, they have zero. Now they've made a lot of money, but they have nothing here. They have nice houses, nice cars, 16 wives, 19 kids. I don't know what they have, but you know what I mean? And being young is great, except it can be a liability to you. Because when you're young, you're just having a lot of fun and life's exciting, it's new. How could it not be relevant when 99% of all people graduating from school don't even know what a financial statement is? And if they do, they probably had the same accounting teacher I had, Mr. Boring, who wasn't really an accountant. He had a master's in accountancy, but he had never been an accountant. So that's why I created the cash flow board game, because accounting is the most important subject for individuals, because this is what your banker wants to see. Your banker wants to see your financial statement. If you have a good financial statement, bankers will give you all the money you want. See, bankers have never asked me for my grades or my college I went through. I want to say this. In school, they compensate for risk by telling you to memorize the right answer. So in other words, these kids young people like you leave school thinking, oh, if I know the right answers, then there's no risk. And it drives old guys like me crazy. So everybody's talking about millennials. What's wrong with them? Millennials are the most highly educated generation in history. They have the cell phone. They didn't get educated in school. They got educated on social media, on the cell phones. They know all the answers, but they're afraid of doing anything. The biggest complaint about my generation is millennials know all the answers, but they can't do anything. And the reason they can't do anything is because it might hurt somebody's feelings, it might make a mistake. And this just keeps you guys just trapped in this little box here. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons I think millennial money is such an important point here. Because if you're going to come into my world, old guy's world, or the information age, you've really got to understand what is risky and what is not risky. And in my world, if you play it safe, that makes you smart. Because if you don't take risks, you don't get smarter. So you may know the answer, but you can't do anything. And one of the best things I had is I went to military school, and I went to flight school. I had such great teachers. All of them could fly. So my flight instructor would fly. What a novel idea. But when I was in high school, most of my teachers were terrified. They're all cowards, job security. Don't make mistakes. Just memorize the right answer and you'll be safe. And that's why most school teachers aren't rich. They teach that to your generation. What does school teach you about money? Nothing. Balancing a checkbook. Give me a break. Give me a break. So the other part of when you look at this financial statement up here, that's what your banker wants to see. The banker doesn't care about your grades. The banker doesn't care what school you went to. I mean, so many people say, oh, my banker won't give me any money. Well, because you don't have one of these. And when you look at most of the politicians today, they don't have one of these either. The U.S. government doesn't have one of these anymore. They stopped doing this because of the U.S. government, the budget is so out of balance, they can't do anything. So that's why, 22 years ago, in 1996, I created the cash flow board game. The purpose of this was so people could teach people what our school systems will never teach you, because they don't know it. Because evidence is now coming out that the school system was hijacked by the ultra-rich years and years ago to never teach people what I know, what my rich dad taught me. So that's why most of our political leaders are broke. They're poor people. Who makes the most? The politicians. They got paychecks for life, they get benefits for life, they got all this stuff, but they're doing a horrible job. So you're going to depend upon the government to take care of you? That's crazy. A lot of people don't like Trump, I understand why. But he really understands this stuff. This is how the rich think. Even if you hate Trump, and Trump doesn't pay taxes, That's why he doesn't want to show you his tax returns. I mean, you gotta be crazy. So they'll never teach you this in school. And there's a reason for it, to keep you working harder and harder and harder. So I like this game a lot better. This is the real game of life here. So the point here is this: people can teach people.